views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hey everyone, I'm the Doc Bob Lee. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're always welcome, and we thank you so much for tuning in and checking it all out. You're watching Open BXRX, and we've got it going on for you. In fact, coming up on today's show, we'll give it to you like we owe you something, as we so often do. Check it out. We'll hear from the executive director of an organization to learn about how they are empowering women and tackling issues that impact Black and Brown communities. After that, we'll highlight the latest work of a super producer who is inspiring the next generation. He's a king. And then we'll speak to the representative of a local outdoor food market that is preparing to operate during the winter. Plus, Bobby C is here with the latest in the world of sports. And then finally, we'll shine a light on a great opportunity being offered to our youth at a historic landmark. You don't want to miss it. We've got it going on for you. We've got it all, and we're wide open. How you doing, everybody? I'm the Dr. Bob Lee from 107.5 WBLS. Another fantastic show lined up for you. We give it to you just like this each and every time you watch. We appreciate you and we love you. You're watching Open. It's that live interactive program that brings the Bronx to New York City straight to your TV set, so you can stay connected to us through social media at BronxNet TV. Now, leading things off, we're joined by the Executive Director of Community Voices Heard. You heard? She's here today to highlight the efforts of her organization, Community Voices Heard, and their sister organization, Community Voices Heard Power, and to promote their Follow Black Women campaign. So make sure you tune in and check it out. We've got it going on for you. And she's here. We welcome her to the show, Juanita O. Lewis. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. So happy to be here today.
Yes. Juanita, what does the O stand for?
So my middle name is Omoshola.
Omoshola. All right.
Yes. Yes, my parents are from Sierra Leone, West Africa. So I have a longer name, but that's the middle name.
Omoshola Lewis. I like it. All right, cool. It rolls. It got that flow.
It does. Thank you.
Juanita, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I am originally from St. Paul, Minnesota. Like I said before, both my parents are from Sierra Leone, West Africa. And I moved to New York. It'll be 13 years next month. And I've been with Community Voices Heard since I moved to New York and became executive director last fall.
What are some of the issues at hand that you're focusing on? I know you got housing, voting rights, and inequality, healthcare, and unemployment for Black women. And why are these issues so important to you and your organization?
Well, to our organization in particular, we've been around for 28 years this year. And our organization was founded at the height of the change of the welfare reform laws. Yeah. And the women that founded CVH said, we're sick and tired of people making decisions for us about things that we're impacted by without talking to us, consulting us. And we best know what solutions should be proposed because of what we are experiencing. Mm-hmm. And so the organization was birthed out of that righteous anger to see some real change in our communities around our social safety net laws. And from there, we've expanded to fight for better housing opportunities, better opportunities around job options, how we engage in voting and voting rights and things of that nature. And all of those things are important because in order for us to see real change in our communities, we have to organize together. We have to take collective action to make collective change, to see these policies change, to see elected officials be held accountable, to see some real tangible things happen in our communities.
I like it. And speaking of communities, what communities do you serve?
So we are in 4 places across New York State. We have a New York City chapter. So we're in the 5 boroughs. Westchester County with an office in Yonkers, Newburgh, and Poughkeepsie.
And then You have a sister organization.
Yes, yes. Community Voices Heard Power is our arm that does a lot of our lobbying and our political work. So anytime we endorse candidates, it's coming out of CVH Power. Our Follow Black Women project that you mentioned earlier, where we're surveying 5,000 Black women across New York State to ask, what are issues that are important to you, to us as Black women, and being able to use those issues to create a platform that centers the voices of Black women of all gender expressions, age, ethnicity, things of that nature. Because we've seen far too often that the voices of Black women are thought of afterwards and only thanked when we come out to vote, because we come out to vote in high numbers. But when it comes to real political policy change, we're not thought of. And so this is an opportunity to really center our voices, to push for those policy changes and to engage the non-engaged. And so a lot of that work is happening in our sister organization that is going to be 10 years old this year.
Whoa, happy birthday to you and many more.
Thank you.
Listen, what can people do to help you out? And what is your organization doing to have a stronger impact in our community amongst Black and brown people in our community?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing that we do is just get out there and get on doors. And so clearly the pandemic slowed that down a little bit because we had to make sure we were safe, that our members were safe, our staff was safe. And so last summer, we started going back out, door knocking, to let people know about the Emergency Rental Assistance Program, to not only apply for it, but to be able to apply pressure to Governor Hochul at that time when she did extend the moratorium. But as you know, she did not extend it and it expired. And so now, almost, I want to say almost over 300,000 families are at risk for eviction in New York State. And so right now we're making sure people know about what services are available to them. Yeah. And we just conducted or just co-sponsored a meeting with some of our allies this week about what are the next steps now that the moratorium has expired. So pushing for—
Is that back on the table though?
We haven't heard anything right now. Like, our biggest push is pushing for a statewide policy called Good Cause, which would protect tenants that right now they'll be facing eviction. So they wouldn't be evicted just because of the non-payment of rent, but there'll be a whole process that would happen. And then for other tenants that aren't necessarily covered right now, they would be covered under Good Cause. And so because there is no moratorium, families are in limbo right now. So, we're just letting tenants and members know what some of their rights are, making sure that they're talking to legal services and legal aid, and just getting ready to get out there and mobilize folks, because this year's a gubernatorial election and housing is a big deal. And so we're going to be knocking on doors and talking to people about the importance of housing and how that needs to be the center of the governor's race this year.
Is Juanita still running? Juanita, Kathy Hochul still, of course.
Yes, he is still an announced candidate. And I believe Tom Swazi. So right now there are 3 people who've announced that they are running for governor of New York State.
There you go.
We're gonna be busy this year, just knocking on doors and letting people know what we're doing. And they could definitely check us out on our website, which is www.cvhaction.org. We are going to be having town halls happen, along with our door knocking, our voter education projects. So there is no shortage of work this year.
Knock on those doors. Those doors will open up for you too.
Yes, definitely.
Well, thank you so much. You give Sharon Lee a big hug and a virtual hug and a kiss for me.
I will definitely do that. She's fantastic.
Juanita O. Lewis, Executive Director, Community Voices Heard. You heard? You got it going on right here. We're open. And we'll take a break. We've got more coming up next.
We built a media network for you.
BronxNet TV.
Come learn in your new state-of-the-art studios at Lehman College.
At Mercy College.
And coming soon to the South Bronx in the Hub.
Inspire with your stories, culture, history.
Your Bronx on BronxNet.
Engage with us.
Connect with us at your channels and at BronxNet.tv.
Learn, engage, inspire. BronxNet TV.
From the Bronx
to the world.
BronxNet.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm the Dr. Bob Lee from 107.5 WPLS, and our next guest is the CEO of Platinum Boy Music Incorporated, Platinum Boy hitman, record producer, and author. And he's here to speak about his new book. Yeah, he put the pen to the paper. He has that brand new book out there of Amadeus, and the beat goes on. And he's here. We're going to talk about all of that. He's here to inspire the next generation to follow their dreams. So please welcome to the show, King Amadeus.
What an amazing introduction, as always. First off, my brother, Happy New Year to you, King. Always great to see you. And thank you so much, for having me and allowing this opportunity for me to share, this amazing new book of mine to the Bronx community. Thank you, my brother.
Yeah, we're going to get right into that book because it's a special thing and it's a new project for you. But you've let people know, people usually hear about you behind the scenes and everything, but King, you have done some wonderful things. Talk about all the wonderful things that you've done, producing, and you're a drummer, and you can just get into the whole thing. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, my brother. Yes, I've been producing for over 20 plus years, blessed to produce for over 100 artists, to name a few: J-Lo, French Montana, Lil Wayne, Wiz Khalifa, Keisha Cole, Chris Brown, Trey Songz, Dave East, Young and May, 112, Danity Kane, ESPN First Take, ESPN, SportsCenter, Sprite, BET, Burger King. The list goes on and on and on. Also, Trey Songz' music director, tour drummer for the last 14 years to present. So anywhere you've seen him perform a live show, I'm somewhere behind him, on the drums and putting the show together as a musical director. Also, I have a residency at Dre's nightclub, which is the #1 hip hop nightclub in Las Vegas, and on the Strip as a musician, as a producer, drummer to be exact, which is very rare. Normally artists have residencies, DJs have residencies. So I was definitely one of the first to be a musician and a drummer to have a residency in Las Vegas. So that, motivational speaker, music educator, and to add, to the long list of titles that I have, blessed to have, is author and of the new book, The Story of Amadeus, and the beat goes on. And that's me, humbly speaking, in a nutshell. And thank you again, Dr. Lee, for allowing me that opportunity.
Wow. And all those things that you mentioned, the beat goes on and on and on until the break of dawn. That's some of the things I say every morning after I get off the air.
Yes, sir. I love it.
But what inspired you to want to put the pen to the paper?
Throughout the years, I've always been passionate about speaking to students and going to colleges and just people in general in regards to pushing them to chase their dreams and to live their dreams. I think it's a lot of people settle in life. A lot of people settle for things that they don't necessarily love and are most passionate about. And I personally don't believe that's the way you should live life. I feel like you should live life doing what you love to do, doing what you're most passionate about, because you wake up excited. You're not doing the 9 to 5, and there's no disrespect, no shot to 9 to 5s. It's just, you can do a 9 to 5. It can be you pursuing your career and whatever it is, but as long as you love it, I think that's what's most important. So me being from the Bronx, me being from 169 from Washington Avenue, to be exact, the hood, the projects, the bottom, they call my block the 9, not for the 9, the number 9, but literally, the 9, unfortunately. So with that being said, I just want people to push and to keep going and not to give up, regardless of circumstance, regardless of surroundings, environment, gangs, negativity, violence. You can still do and become who you want to be in life. And that's why, I created this book, The Story of Amadeus, to kind of get into the details of how I became, this successful musician and producer.
There you go. Beautiful. I'm from the South Side, Queensbridge, 10th Street.
All love, look, all love.
Marley Marl, Nas, Mobb Deep,
Yes, sir. Legends.
Yeah. So that's beautiful. So, and the story behind it, give me a quick synopsis of what's in the book. And of course, it's about a lot of the things that you've done, right? And you inspire people to follow those footsteps.
Just kind of getting into the details of what Saturday mornings was like, in regards to having to clean up every Saturday or you couldn't go outside to play. And I know, Dr. Lee, you can relate to that. A lot of these young kids don't know nothing about that today. It's a different day that they live in. But for us, we had to clean up. The house had to be spick and span before we was able to go out. So I get into the details of that, and my parents playing music, and each and every Saturday they would rotate on who would, play music on that Saturday. So I get into that. I get into me picking up the drumsticks for the first time in 4th grade and learning that I had this ability to play drums that I wasn't aware of. So that going to church and discovering God and learning God and building a relationship with God. And my late and great pastor and Bishop Michelle White, rest in peace, Queen, for allowing me that opportunity, to play at her church and become a musician. So all of those steps in the journey and the road of really me becoming who I am, it's in the book. Going into high school and not having music and band as a subject, and me kind of like going to the school and going to the class like, hey, I didn't get this class, but I need to be in this class, and auditioning live right there on the spot in front of the students and teachers, and him hearing me and say, okay, yeah, we do need you, and becoming the first freshman to lead the seniors band as a drummer. So all of those different things and stories is in here, straight to the point. I'm not happy to admit this, but I'm always going to be real, honest, transparent. I'm not the biggest reader in the world. So I kind of was like, when I created this, I said, I want to get right to the point. I don't want it to be long and drawn out. I want to keep people's attention. So it's not a very long book. It has pictures on each and every single page from me and my childhood. This is actually me on the cover, touching my dad's stereo with his headphones on. That's actually me, you know what I'm saying? And we go from there to, me again, touching his radio, and it looks like I got caught. You got me doing the MJ right there. The next page, you got me getting my first drum set right there. Yeah. So these are the moments that I want people to see, and I want people to just learn about me and how I became, who I am today, leading up to my career as a producer. It kind of sets you up of how I started production-wise, and then it kind of just stops, and you're like, well, what happens next? And that's why the other part of the title is "And the Beat Goes On." So might be a part 2, might be a part 3, might be a part 4.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Yeah, I can get with that. And what advice would you give youngsters? Because a lot of people want to get into this music. Music captures the soul, and it's universal and it's worldwide.
Absolutely.
What advice would you give to people looking to get into this business of ours?
Well, and I know you can relate to this, Dr. Lee. Back then, again, I'm 20 plus years at this, and as a musician, as a producer, wasn't really a cool thing to do. It's not like people was like, okay, I want to become a producer, I want to become a DJ. It was really rare. And it wasn't a lot of people doing it. So I was kind of in my own lane. Like my competition was kind of like the people who I looked up to. That because everybody wasn't waking up saying, I'm going to be a record producer. But now, 2022, everybody, their mama, their uncle, the dogs, the cats, the fish, everybody want to be in the music world, in the music game. Why? Because everything is so accessible now. We have the internet. We have social media. You can get you a computer and have access to softwares so you can create music. Back then, a drum machine was like $1,300 and didn't come with no sounds. And now today, you get a program for $500 and it comes with all the sounds. So a lot is being handed and handed directly to people, which is why people, I feel, want to become producers and musicians. And it ain't what it seems, man. It ain't what it seems. So I want to encourage people, you can do it. But again, make sure that you love it. Make sure that you're passionate about it. The politics that comes along with it, the negativity that comes along with it, the closed doors, people doubting you, not believing in what you're capable of doing. All of that is a part of breaking into the business. And if you don't have that hard shell on the outside, you won't make it. So be passionate about it. Of course, after the passion, it's about believing. It's about believing that you're capable of doing what you want to do in life. All of those dreams that you have, I feel that those are visions that God gives you of what you can do and who you can be in life if you wake up out of that dream and actually put the work in. It's not like he's going to drop or sprinkle down success on you. Like he already put the gifts and the talents in you. Now it's about you nurturing it. Now it's about you shooting in the gym. Now it's about you rehearsing and practicing and applying yourself and playing your part. You know what I mean? So I figure you put all of those things in one basket, mix it up, put it in the oven, bring it out, and I feel like you'll have yourself as a masterpiece that you can, share, with the world. So that's definitely some advice that I would give, and not just to kids, but adults too. Dreams are not only for kids to achieve; they're for adults to achieve as well as.
Keep dreaming. I like it, man. I know they want to give me a hard rap here, but I have some more questions, so I'm gonna have to keep you on for an hour. No, we can't do it right now, but I need to get you on so we can talk more, because there are these memorable moments, whether it be backstage on tour, on the tour bus, on a flight, or on stage with somebody that that you want to highlight or tell somebody about? So
and I know we got to wrap, but really quick, me being from the Bronx, me being from New York, I think it was a really big deal for me to play Madison Square Garden. My mama and my dad went to see shows there, so it's legendary. All of the greats played there. Yeah. And that was a dream of mine. And I was able to play Madison Square Garden, not one time, but 5 times with Trey Songz. Yeah, opening up for Jay-Z on one tour, opening up for Usher on another tour, opening up for Mariah Carey on New Year's Eve. So we had a lot of really great moments, and that's just one. It's a bunch that I can name. I know we don't have time for that, but we got to come back and do a part 2, Dr. Lee. We got to come back and do a part 2, man.
Well, you're always welcome back, man. This is, we're wide open.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me always, man.
Where can we go to get more information on you?
Absolutely. I have the website, www.iamkingamadeus.com. Once again, that's www.iamkingamadeus.com. That's my website. On Instagram, it's Amadeus PBM, AMADEUS PBM. Twitter, producer Amadeus. Facebook, Antoine Amadeus Thompson. Any one of those you can reach me. Any one of those you can message me to order the book. You can go to the website and order the book. However you need to reach me, there it is. And before we go, I want to give a really big shout out to my co-authors, Lynn Hobson and Trina Stackhouse. I wouldn't have been able to do this and create this vision to share with the world without them. So much love to them as well.
All right, King. There you go. You laid it all out. Bam. I can't wait to see it again on a replay.
Yes, sir.
King Amadeus. The king is in the house. Multi-platinum bad boy hitman record producer. Keep on producing, brother. And
we'll do, my brother. Thank you so much, doctor.
We'll get together and we'll break some bread, man.
Absolutely.
All right. Have a blessed day. We'll take a break right here, and I'll give you a whole lot more. We've got a fantastic show lined up for you, and this is just an example of it. All right, we'll take a break. I've got more coming up next on Open. welcome back. I've got you covered like a blanket of the Doc Bob Lee. You are watching Open. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for checking it out. And our next guest is the market manager of the Riverdale Y Sunday Market. And she joins us to speak about the food market and how it will be operating this winter. So please welcome to the show, Shira Silverman. Shira, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lee.
Now, anytime anybody mentions food and a market and all that stuff, I start salivating. So you've been operating for some time. So tell us about it.
Well, the market has been open since 2011, and it was originally at RKA. And in 2020, we moved to the Riverdale Temple parking lot. I started, now that you're talking about food, I came on in September 2019, and I started with about 8 core vendors. And I can say with no reservations whatsoever that we have some of the best food you can find anywhere, especially at farmers markets. So we have the best bread. We have Orwasher's bread. We have the best farms. We have Doremi Farms and Gonzalez Farm during the season, and we have Orchards of Conklin during the winter this year. Yes. And and the best in General Cochran with the best meat and dairy, and we have the best. So salivate away. Yeah,
I know. I'm going to try to talk. But how important is this market? How has it been for the Riverdale community?
Well, the Riverdale community has been telling me over and over again that it is very important to them. Last year we opened during COVID, and it's funny to think of now, but at the time we were almost the only show in town because we were an outdoor market and people were afraid of shopping indoors. And of course now the rate is, unbelievably higher than it was then. But we became more visible in the community because we provided that service. And since then, the community keeps telling us that that they really rely upon us. Yeah. And for this winter market, I've been standing out there in the freezing cold and telling people when they leave, thank you so much for coming out in the cold. And every single one of them has turned around and said to me, no, thank you for being here. Yeah.
I mean, it makes us feel so nice and warm to know that you're out in the cold serving this wonderful food and then catering to people. Now, you had some problems with the scaffolding for some time because people didn't know where it was for a while, right? So you want to just let people know about where it is and that it's still happening, it's still going on?
It's definitely still happening. I'm a little afraid that I don't really know how many people went to RK instead of Riverdale Temple for all that time. There were probably many more than I know about. Yeah. But anyway, we've been in Riverdale Temple parking lot since the beginning of last season in 2020, and it has been great for us because Riverdale Temple has been a wonderful host. And they've let us do so many things. They've been so supportive. We've been able to do the food scrap recycling. We've been able to do all sorts of things because of them, because they've both permitted us to do those things and helped us work out the logistics. So I can't thank them enough.
Yeah, and people can find your market on the web. Well, what hours are you operating right now?
We're open 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Sundays.
9 a.m. to 2 p.m. So I got to write that down so I can come out and eat up some of your food there and experience the wonderful market that you have.
Definitely.
And what is that website?
It's on the Riverdale Y website. So it's www.riverdaley.org. And it's actually, this is why I grimaced, /community/Riverdale/Sunday-Market. So you go to the Riverdale Y website, or if you Google Riverdale Y Sunday Market, it'll come up, I promise.
Yeah. And what are some of the measures that you're taking right now to ensure that the market is successful this winter?
Well, part of it is to get the word out, because that's what really the most important part, that people actually come to the market, because not everybody knows that it's there. So I would say that is at the top of the list. And that's why it's so wonderful that you're having me talk to you today.
Yeah.
The second is to make sure that our vendors are there and that we can. I'm also in the process of finding more vendors, because variety, you always want more vendors. You want to have your core vendors and continue telling your core vendors how wonderful they are, because they are, and then look for more.
Yeah.
So really, when I think about the market, there are two things that make a market successful at any time of the year. One is the vendors, and the second one are the customers. And that's what makes the market successful.
They work hand in hand. Yes, indeed.
Definitely.
But speak about the core vendors again. I mean, mention them one more time, and then let us know how other vendors can get more involved or can find out more about how to get involved with you.
Well, my eyes always go off into the distance, because I'm picturing the market and I'm going all around the market to make sure I don't miss anyone.
We can just mention a few of them, and then let us know how vendors can get.
Right. So I talked about Orwasher's Bread, and Orchards of Conklin, which is up in Pomona, New York.
Yes.
General Cochran Farm, where she has meat, and Ronnie Brook Dairy. Doc Pickle is coming every other week. The cheese guy is also very important, coming every week. He's been with us since the very beginning. Orchards of Conklin too, actually. We also have the Cardamom Man, I watched his interview on BronxNet. He does cookies and brownies, and he's branching out to breads and cakes. I'm always terrified of missing anyone. We also have some specifically like Bronx-based businesses. We have Echo Bronx. She sells sustainable products, a lot of household products, refillable soaps, like laundry detergent and dish detergent and stuff like that. Because that's part of our mission, is to be part of the Bronx, because Riverdale is part of the Bronx. It's so important to say that.
And if other vendors want to get involved, what do they have to do?
They can email me, and my email is sundaymarket@riverdaley.org. And right now I'm looking for, because part of a market is that you don't want to repeat. I mean, we're not a very large market. We don't have 30 vendors. We can't have 3 cookie vendors, for example.
So you can have another Doc Pickle.
No more, right. No more pickles, no more cheese. It's really very important. And so right now, I mean, I'm looking for hot prepared food, if anyone is interested, if anyone's doing hot prepared food. Also maybe establishing relationships with local restaurants to provide hot prepared food.
Yeah.
And hot beverages. We have Don Carvajal Cafe. See, I knew I would forget somebody. We have Don Carvajal Cafe, who is also in the Bronx, which is very important. They come every other week, and they provide hot coffee and coffee beans that they roast themselves. Which I'm not a coffee drinker, but I understand that it's really something special.
Yeah.
But we also, it would be nice to have tea and hot chocolate, and especially during these winter months, to get hot beverages. So that's what's on my mind. But if anyone else has any other ideas, that's how to reach me.
Well, we love you, and we thank you for sharing that experience with us. And we got to get out there and pay you a visit, walk around.
You're always welcome.
Enjoy the foods. Okay. Shira Silverman, thank you so much. The Riverdale Y Market. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. We'll take a break right here. Bobby C is up next with the latest in the world of sports. You don't want to miss it.
The National Basketball Association is celebrating its 75th anniversary, and here to talk about that anniversary is a very special person, a great sports reporter and pioneer in the world of stats, and that's Dave Herron. Dave, good morning. How are you?
Well, I'm happy to be here, Bob. Really, I enjoy this so much. It's my history. I love it.
Oh, 100%. And I think it's so great to be able to have you on the show. You grew up in the New York City area. Your first job was as a statistician with the New York Knicks. And you've got this great book out right now called 75, which celebrates the 75th anniversary. Tell us a little bit about that. And then also a statistical platform that basically is still used to this day. We'll get to that in just a moment. But tell us a little bit about the book.
Yeah, I think you're thinking about Tendex when you mentioned that. Well, it really did start with Tendex. I went to the University of Delaware. Sophomore year, I became a sports writer for the school paper. I went to a basketball game, and that guy's not that good. I was thinking about the guy who was the team's leading scorer. He averaged 18 points a game. He was all conference. Then I looked at another guy. He was averaging maybe 10 points, but he was doing all kinds of other stuff. And I just put together this formula, not just for points, but for the other good stuff, and then subtracted bad stuff like missed shots. And lo and behold, it turned out this guy who's leading the team in scoring was not the best player. He was missing a lot of shots and not doing much else. And it just led to Tendex. When I wrote it up for the school newspaper, it got picked up by the Wilmington Morning News, and they in turn, the columnists there wrote about it, and it grew. And pretty soon, instead of having 5 points into it, it was 10. So I called it Tendex. And later on, it was more like 15. It got more complicated, but you wanted to get it right. And you wanted to count everything that you could into the formula. And that's the way it worked out.
And amazing these days, Dave, because everything really has become so statistical based when we talk about players and greatness and the conversations of being able to evaluate one era from another era. And hopefully that's something that we can chat about a little bit this morning.
Yeah, but you can do that. And actually, I'm not a traditionalist from the standpoint, I don't worship the old guys, and I am one. But the truth is, the NBA wasn't a very good league for about the first 10 years. Until the 24-second rule. And then they started attracting athletes, and it went up from there.
No, and I think that's a great place to start, because, we start talking about the 75th anniversary and all the great players. And as someone that works oftentimes with younger students, whether it's at the TV station here at BronxNet or at WFFE with the radio station, the conversation always tends to lean in the direction of the players, the current players. And even sometimes it's amazing for me, Dave, how easy it is for a young person, someone even 20 years old, to forget about how great Michael Jordan was. But then you think about it and you say to yourself, they've never seen Michael Jordan play.
Well, you can imagine how it was with people like Oscar Robertson and Will Chamberlain. Let's forget it. We'll just join the Red Auerbach Club and just say that Bill Russell was the greatest. Well, Bill Russell wasn't. But Red Auerbach was a great promoter, and Russell was his player. But Chamberlain and Robertson were better players than Russell. Not on better teams. The Celtics won, but they were better individual players.
I was curious, at least from a New York City perspective, especially since you've been watching basketball since 1947, and of course have compiled all these great books and articles and records and stuff. Where would you place Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as someone out of New York?
Yeah, he's right up there. I mean, he's the next center after Chamberlain, and there's not that big a gap. Abdul-Jabbar was definitely a top 6 or 7 of all time. I mean, he was way up there, and that's including not just the centers. The centers, he's the number 2, and that's mainly because Chamberlain was stronger. Abdul-Jabbar was a touch player. He could shoot great, but Chamberlain was so strong he could just, well, you've seen Shaq. The difference between Chamberlain and Shaq was that Chamberlain had a fingertip touch too. He wasn't just bam, bam, and he had a fingertip touch besides. But the man was a monster physically. Yeah.
A finesse player. And interesting too, because, we mentioned Michael Jordan, and in my book, at least in my lifetime, he's the greatest player I have ever seen. And That includes watching someone like LeBron James or Steph Curry or Kevin Durant, some of the current stars. I still would place Jordan atop my list, but definitely as someone that loves the history of basketball, I'm going to have some of those great names on my top 5 or top 10. And I think it's interesting that your first NBA draft was actually that amazing 1984 draft. Tell us how that got going.
Yeah, that was the best of all. Well, it just so happened that by that time, I had started to do a column for a basketball publication and also the sporting news. And so Tendex was becoming known. And that was the first time I used Tendex to rate a draft. It's not easy because you have to also have rate of improvement along with the flat stats. So a guy like Michael Jordan, who was not that great in high school, then in college he goes like this, but before, and he's still going like that in the NBA. A lot of people say, well, he won all those titles. Well, he didn't win titles. His team did. It was the same like with Russell's team. Jordan did not actually start winning titles until his peak years were over. But that's because along came Pippen, and then along came Rodman, and along came Kukoc. So he had some teammates. But in the beginning, he didn't have any teammates. And you got to have teammates.
And for a decade, you pretty much had, which makes sense, because I think my compadre, Chris Busateri, my editor, that's on this call with us right now, even though the fans at home never get a chance to actually see him. We would often talk about how LeBron James is arguably the MVP year in and year out in the NBA. And even if, in my book, even if I have MJ above him, there's no denying his greatness. And for a decade, in your book, LeBron James statistically best player in the NBA. And it's not until more recent years, I know you had James Harden kind of supplanting him at one point, right, Houston, and more recently guys like Kevin Durant in that conversation. What makes LeBron James so special, and what do you think about this new crop of players that have come into the league? Is there some player now that you would have at the very top above him?
Oh, okay, just the new players. Harden and Durant are at the top of that list, and they ranked number 5 and 6 on the all-time list. Great players, but there's a gap between them and the top 4. The top 4, Jordan, you're talking about LeBron James, Robertson, and Chamberlain, and they were by far the top 4. And the old-timers who saw Chamberlain and Robertson will tell you that. Bill Raftery, if he's still alive today, will tell you that. Nobody liked Robertson. John Wooden, age 99, congratulated LeBron on winning a high school all-star trophy and said, this guy is the best high school player I've seen since Robertson. So he's going way back. And I don't think it's coincidental, because these two guys then and these two now, Jordan and James, are the best. And it's hard to pick among them, but you want to start your team with those 4.
Well, we definitely have your Mount Rushmore here on the show, which is great. And that's obviously, of course, going to be such a big debate when it comes to NBA fans. For you, Dave, especially with being someone that's been a passionate and lifelong basketball fan, when did you start to realize that this system that you created was the way to go? Was it back in college when you were at Delaware?
No, I didn't even think it was going anywhere outside of the campus. But little by little, and by the time in the mid-'80s, when I got to write with the sporting news, I said, wow. And I was getting a lot of attention. People wanted to know, well, how do you do this Tendex? Because Tendex was doing better than the NBA scouts on drafting. And that was undisputable, the 84 draft. Tendex had it in this order: Jordan, Olajuwon, Stockton, Barkley. The scouts had Olajuwon, then they had a stiff center. I forget who he was. Jordan was number 3, and then you had Barkley and Stockton. So right there, you had a huge start for Tendex, and it went on from there.
That was part 1 of our interview with NBA pioneer Dave Herron. Tune in next week for part 2.
We built a media network for you.
BronxNet TV.
Come learn in your new state-of-the-art studios at Lehman College.
At Mercy College.
And coming soon to the South Bronx in the Hub.
Inspire with your stories, culture, history.
Your Bronx. on BronxNet.
Engage with us.
Connect with us at your channels and at BronxNet.tv.
Learn, engage, inspire. BronxNet TV.
From the Bronx
To the world.
BronxNet.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm the Doc Bob Lee. You're watching Open. And our next guest is the Executive Director of the Woodlawn Conservancy. She's with us today to share some very important information about the Woodlawn Conservancy paid internship program and highlight their upcoming spring tour and much more. So please welcome to the show, Meg Ventrudo. Meg, welcome. Always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So you have a whole lot going on. Explain a little bit about the Conservancy.
So the Woodlawn Conservancy is the 501c3 program that raises funds for the preservation and beautification of Woodlawn Cemetery. Woodlawn Cemetery is an 1863 National Historic Landmark, over 400 acres of funerary art, architecture, and nature arboretum as well.
But there's a whole lot more to it because you're teaching, you have paid internship programs. Tell us about it.
We have a great paid internship program called the Bridge to Crafts Careers Program. And it is a 10-week paid internship. There are two of them, one in the spring and one in the fall. We are about to start up our masonry program, and there are some spots available. You can call me directly at 718-408-5624. And it is an internship program where young people ages 18 to 24 learn masonry skills. They learn preservation of monuments, cleaning masonry, and it is a pathway to careers in the Bricklayers Union and the construction trades.
And you also have the landscape restoration program. Talk about that.
So that's correct. So we replicate the program in the fall, and it's a landscape restoration program where young people are learning careers in arbor care, turf management, tree identification, ways to maintain grounds, gardens, any kind of public green space in New York City. And that's also a paid internship, which gives young people a pathway to careers.
Yeah, tree identification. So the number of different trees that you have to know what they are.
Well, we have over 400 different species of trees and shrubs here, so we can keep our young people busy learning to identify different trees and plants and shrubs.
Yeah, wow. And this is great. A lot of people didn't know about this, but you know, you've been doing this for some time now, right?
We've been doing the masonry program since 2015, and landscaping started last year. We've managed to run both programs through COVID. And they're really great opportunities for young people from the 5 boroughs. Most of our young people are from the Bronx, but it's really great opportunities for them to go into careers.
How have you been navigating the variants of COVID-19?
I think Woodlawn's fortunate because we are an outdoor learning lab and we're also an outdoor cultural organization. So a lot of our tours have been moved to be walking tours rather than trolley tours. We are limiting the number of folks on our trolley, but we're still having trolley tours whenever possible. And again, because our masonry program, our internship with our landscape students, all of that takes place outside, we're able to socially distance the young people and let them still get the hands-on experience they need.
Meg, what are the requirements for an applicant looking to get into the paid internship program?
So young people can apply on our website, which is woodlawn.org. They have to be between the ages of 18 and 24. They need a high school degree or a GED or an equivalent degree to a high school diploma. And they need to be a resident of the 5 boroughs. But once they take all of those checklists off, they come out and they take a written exam and a physical test so they can get a feel for what some of the tools are, and then they can apply to the program.
And start adding money to their bank account.
Exactly. It is a 10-week paid internship. And
wow. Yeah.
At the end, the young folks receive OSHA certification, which is also helpful for them to get jobs in New York City.
Tell us about the OSHA certification. What is that?
They will take the classes to receive the OSHA training. And once they receive an OSHA card, they have the ability to work in a lot of construction jobs in New York City.
Excellent. All right, so you have a tour going on now, but there's a spring tour coming up, right?
We have a whole calendar of spring events. February 13th, we're going to do a Woodlawn Lovers Tour and tell you about some of the wonderful love stories here at Woodlawn. Celia Cruz and Pedro Knight and Irene and Vernon Castle and some other wonderful love stories here at Woodlawn. We will be doing a Black Heritage Month tour. We celebrate all the heritage months here. So we do a lot of tours that are related to specific heritage months. Irish Heritage will happen in March, and in May, which is a very big event that we have here at Woodlawn, is we flag all of the graves of our veterans. We put flags on over 8,500 graves. It is a community event. It usually starts the week before Memorial Day, and any community groups, scout groups, volunteer groups can come to Woodlawn and take a section of the cemetery and place the flags on the graves of our veterans.
Excellent. And where does the love stories take place?
Love stories will meet at Jerome Avenue, the Jerome Avenue entrance of the cemetery, February 13th at noon. It is a trolley tour. We will ask our guests to be vaccinated and keep everybody healthy. And there'll be about maybe 20 stops on the tour. Folks will get out in some places on the trolley and walk around the cemetery a little bit. But that would be our first kickoff tour for the 2022 spring season starts on February 13th.
And along those tours, you'll be telling love stories?
We'll be telling you the love stories of the folks that are buried here at Woodlawn, their love stories. And you'll see their monuments. So, of course, Celia Cruz and her husband, Pedro Knight, are buried together. Very famous mausoleum here at Woodlawn. So we'll go past Celia and.
What do they say about Celia Cruz and her husband?
Well, he was her manager, right? So he was so integral to her success and her performances. And of course, her mausoleum is really quite lovely with a beautiful stained glass window inside of it. So, and beautiful landscaping around it. We'll take you past the mausoleum of Ida and Isadora Strauss to folks that sadly perished on the Titanic, but theirs was a love story because they stayed together till the very end. So you'll hear those love stories.
Wow, they have the Titanic love story at the Woodlawn.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's great. Where can people go to learn more about these opportunities and about Woodlawn?
Sure, you can visit our website, which is woodlawn.org. You can also visit us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of the usual places. And if you would like some information, you can email us at contact@woodlawnconservancy.org.
And also that internship program is open.
You can send the internship emails to that contact@woodlawnconservancy.org email address as well.
All right. Meg Ventrudo, the Executive Director of the Woodlawn Conservancy. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure to see you.
Great.
And
Thank
hello,
you.
Mom. Give Mom a big hug for me.
I will. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a
That's
good
about
day.
it for us. Thank you so much for tuning in and checking it all out. I'm the Dr. Bob Lee. I'll see you on the radio on 107.5 WBLS. Always remember this: what you are is God's gift to you, and what you make of yourself is your gift to God. So choose your choice. Let your choice control the chooser. I'll catch you another day, another way. For all of us here at BronxNet, have a great and enjoyable day, and we love you. Peace.